We're not live streaming. We are now live streaming.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can hear
Okay,
you.
Wayne? Can
Yep.
you hear us, Wayne?
Okay.
Okay, well, should we proceed? Okay, right. Welcome, everybody, online and in person. Are there any apologies for absence?
Apologies from Councillor Shaver for late.
Councillor Shaver for later. Okay, great. Any declarations of interest? They usually are, but we just always ask the question. Okay, meeting notes. Any comments about meeting notes? Are they acceptable? Oh, we've lost Daddy. Oh, he's reading.
If I don't to walk through the door now,
That would have been quite funny if he just walked to the door. That's true. Yeah, we thought Addy would just follow. How is it back again?
there we
I
go.
just thought it could be Addy suddenly walk back in.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right. Meeting notes all okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, future newsletter. This, of course, is the summer fringe brochure. Essentially, we're saying same as last year, obviously, but with a new set of fringe events. And given that what we're now doing is to do that, I'm not sure there's an awful lot to discuss and agree, other than say, yeah, go ahead, unless anybody's got any comments they want to make. Wave profusely, Addy and Jane, if there's anything you want to say, otherwise I may not see you. Anybody else? Yes, Margaret.
Well, thank you. Just to state the obvious, really, that because of the elections, we won't know who's mayor, will we?
No, we won't.
So it will be a fairly tight. One of the first things the new mayor will need to do is write the
Absolutely.
message from your mayor.
True. That should be a job description or a person spec requirement. The ability to write a introduction to a newsletter in pronto time. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I'm sure so will be on the case.
The deadlines and it is because we separate out the mayor's reception from the annual statutory now. We will have officially elected the new mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The actual mayor's reception is just a few days for the print deadline, so they will have time to prepare something.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. Any other comments, remarks? Otherwise, we just say, yeah, go for it. Do as good a job last year as you did, or even better if you can, because it was pretty good last year. Is that okay with everybody?
Yeah, the last year's one was very good.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Right. Ooh, who's going to do the audio copy? Now, didn't we have somebody in the list waiting for that?
So we don't. We normally go sort of boy, girl, boy, girl.
We do.
The last person that was nominated to do the spring audio copy was me.
Yes.
Now, I don't know how members feel about this, but we have a experience placement that will be joining the town council office at the end of March. And we felt that that actually might be quite a nice task for him to undertake. It's quite a straightforward task and something that might give him a little bit more kind of exposure in terms of what we do as a town council. So perhaps with your agreement, I could dump that responsibility onto our work experience placement, and then therefore I would be quite happy to narrate the summer edition.
Oh, I see. You're switching it around. You mean?
Yes, so the spring edition, which is coming out now.
Oh, right. Get him to do that.
Have him do the spring edition when he's in the office as a task.
He wouldn't be here by the.
So he will be here 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, but I mean, for the following one, he wouldn't be here.
He won't be, he's only here for a week's placement.
Oh, a week's placement.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to say the fringe brochure, that one is relatively short, isn't it? So
it is.
Yeah, this is Nina getting out of some of the work.
I beg your pardon?
It's not making my life easier.
Nina making her life easier.
Ah, right. Yeah.
Okay. What do we know about this work experience person?
It's Jodie's son.
Jodie's son.
So
okay.
Jodie's son is a sixth form college student from Magdalen. And he's asked to join us for a week to undertake sort of different responsibilities in finance and administration. Our finance officer.
Okay, and by all accounts, is he the person who would be able to do it? I mean, does he have the voice, we'll say, to do it?
That's something we can, I think, investigate when he joins
the
team for a week, in terms of his confidence.
I think it's quite a lot to put on his shoulders, but if he's up for it, I'm up for it. Are we up for it?
Yeah, that's fine with me. make a nice change.
Yeah,
Yeah, somebody young.
Yes,
Oh,
I mean, in
change.
terms of diversity, it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing is, my experience of young people, mainly reading in church, is they tend to talk too quickly. So he would need to be briefed to pace it well, because I wouldn't hear if somebody went
Okay.
too fast.
James,
So
trying to
just,
get your attention.
Oh, Jane, yeah, go on.
Yep, you said wave furiously, so I'm waving, not
Yeah,
furiously.
sorry, I was distracted by. Yeah,
A simple
go on.
simple comment, a young person's voice would be really good, because we want to encourage young people to feel, involved with the town council work. So it's great that he's
Yeah.
coming to have work experience, and I think it's a great idea.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, all agree?
yeah,
Okay, but that's with a bit of coaching from somebody. Oh, sorry, Robina?
Yeah, I was just going to say, no unnecessary hashtags to be placed in the sentences or.
so we do review it afterwards when we have the finalised copy. We listen to it just sort of and edit it as necessary.
I've done one of the newsletters. It was one of the first things I had to do. And it's actually quite easy to go back, rewind, redo something. It's really quite flexible. So even if he makes a little bit of a pickle of it, we can go back and change it and make amendments and edit it. I think it will be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, great, let's go for it, brilliant. Right, okay, I mean, this is one we just put standard on the agenda. Any developments with regards to our website or Discover Buckingham website, which is the kind of tourism getting out there type of website? Any comments about either of those websites from anybody present? I've not looked at it recently. I think the search facility is still not brilliant, I would say. It's, I was trying to find an agenda. It doesn't seem to accept when you put things in inverted commas, which is a standard thing on Google. Do you know what that means? Yeah. I don't know whether we can possibly refine it at all.
So I have a very limited understanding of our website, but I believe it's very much linked as to when we post something on our website, how we tag it as to how it's going to come up in our search engine. So if I was writing a news release on the cemetery, if I don't put that down as a keyword in the column of the post. So this is very much like an educating new members of staff, this is what you need to do, then it's unlikely to come up in the search engine when you're putting it in there. And I think that's where we've fallen down in the past.
Yeah.
It's not specific enough.
This is where I miss the old version, where you could look in the archive for previous minutes of various committees. You can't do that anymore. It's not accessible. You have to search on it, and then when you search on it, you get about 100 options coming up. It's not very effective.
Yeah.
And it's dependent on tagging rather than a word search. It's not brilliant, is it?
I also find it quite frustrating in that you can't find exactly what you need from the search engine, but
It is what it is, or can we improve it?
it's a development issue we'd need to pick up with the web designer. Zonkey.
We need to have some conversations with them about some other things so we can add it.
Okay, can we leave that as an action for all of you folks? Any other comments at all from anybody? Yes, Margaret.
yeah, just, I mentioned to Nina earlier that we're no longer a fair trade town. The logo still pops up. And I've just looked on the website, and if you search for fair trade, you get all the previous information. So it's probably my fault for not having highlighted it. We only lost the status a couple of months ago.
Right, but there used to be a page.
There is a page, if you put in the search fair trade town, it comes up.
Right, okay.
And quite a bit of information there and the logo, so it does need to be updated really. I wonder whether to put in if I sent you a sentence as to why that's happened, or just block
I
it
think
up.
we just, sorry.
No, go on.
I think if we've lost the status, we just
Take
the
down.
page down. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, couldn't we put it sort of like, we used to be a fair trade town, but currently we're unable to fulfill that because we don't have a committee to manage this.
It's a steering.
If you're interested, if you're interested in reforming it, please contact. So there was a leave the door open, and don't throw the text away, because we might need to resurrect that if people do come forward. I think it's if you're, type in fair trade Buckingham, then if that comes up, they go, oh, this is important to me. I'll put some effort into making this happen.
Yeah.
To put a holding page in.
Yeah, but a whole page with an invitation on it. That's what I would say. Any comments? Yes, agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Who did the steering group before? Who was the steering group before?
Me. And a couple of other people.
Yeah, and
Mary,
Mary, that's right, yeah.
and Tina Mitchell from Pagbury.
Were you on the steering group as a councillor or as a resident of Buckingham?
Initially as a resident of Buckingham, and it was the fair trading which put me in the orbit of the town council that ended up with me coming on the council. But I was on the fair trade town steering group for over 10 years before I became councillor.
So I just wonder if we need to be careful about the wording about whether it's something that BTC are doing, or whether it's if we're asking as an invitation for people to create a steering group, that's not necessarily going to be BTC running a steering group, creating that invitation, doing that. I'm just cautious that we misinform.
Well, how do you become a steering group? Is there an organisation nationally that?
Yes, it's Fair Trade Foundation.
Well, should we advertise?
Maybe, yeah. Otherwise, people are going to think it's.
Yeah, no, fair point. So, yeah.
We could just, if you're interested, please contact or look at the information on this page.
Yeah.
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 Or it's going to get really muddy, isn't it?
Yeah, no, fair point, absolutely. Okay, well, we can still do that. There's no reason. I mean, the town council has got a policy in favour of fair trade. So it's not as if we're doing anything ultra violent here, I don't think.
No, I don't.
But you're right, we're not a responsible authority. No. We don't control that. Okay, is that okay, Nina?
Yeah, very good.
Although one of the criteria is that the local council makes a declaration that they will only use fair trade tea and coffee. That's the first step to become.
Well, I'm sure we could get that through. Well, it's already been through, isn't it?
We've already got that. Yeah.
I wish the supermarkets would organise at least wine by fair trade.
There usually is some in Waitrose.
Yeah, but you've got to really hunt for it.
Yeah, and often in Tesco as well.
Yeah.
Co-op's good for fair trade wine.
Yeah, okay. Any other comments on that? Or about the websites generally?
No.
Wave, Addy, Jane, or anybody else, if you've got any other things. Okay, all right, let's move on then. Okay, newsletter cost annual review. Thank you for the information. So it costs what it has cost us, what we've got a budget for next year, which we may well come under budget, which is great. And that the overall cost has gone down because of the summer brochure, summer fringe brochure on a regular basis. And overall, the total cost per unit has come down from about 43 pence per unit to about, I can't quite work it out, about 26, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've nearly halved the cost per unit over the time that I've been on the council, I would say, but there we go. But I'm not claiming responsibility for that. But we have managed to bring down the costs per unit. Any other comments on that before? Any other things we want to say? Put my glasses back on again now. Yes, Martin.
I've noticed the number of copies haven't gone up, although we seem to have more housing and other bits and bobs in the town. Have we just overestimated in the past, or are we just now using up the surplus, or don't we have to deliver to some?
It hasn't gone up this year since last summer, but that's because most of the properties, there's only been a few properties added since last summer, isn't it?
Okay.
Oh, you were talking of a couple, maybe a couple of dozen.
24 to 25,
on
yeah.
St.
Okay,
Rombolds.
So it has gone up significantly sort of since we first started producing newsletters, and it is reviewed on an annual basis as well. We do always overorder because we put extra copies in the tick and library, take them down to the local care homes as well. And we've usually got a fairly healthy stack left in the office that if we don't distribute, we end up recycling.
So do we need to review it upwards for next year, or is 6,500 going to be okay?
So I believe we have reviewed it, and there is an extra few hundred additions that are going to be added to it to take into account Tocky Road, the other bit on the other side of Tingewick Road that's been added.
Oh, yeah.
So it's when the distributors get
Totally
out
away.
there basically and start handing them out, which is why the figures sort of tend to vary in terms of how many are actually distributed on the day.
Okay,
Yeah, distribution costs will go up as well, won't it, really?
yeah. Could be TikTok-y road now, couldn't it? Really? So, you're ahead of the game. Okay, all right. Any other comments on that report? Okay, fine. Moving on then, where are we get to? Right, future newsletters. Now, this is about the timing of the annual report. And I guess my question on this was, which is the option that comes closest and easiest to the gold standard?
So the gold standard is simply about having an annual report that is published
But the number of months seem to matter though.
within the gold standard criteria.
Oh, not, oh, it's just generally the later we leave it, just the later we leave it.
Yeah, so we don't really want a 6-month gap
Right, okay.
with our annual reports, because the situation we found ourselves in the year that we're just coming out of now is that there was a 6-month gap between the annual reports that were produced for the annual town meeting in 2024
Right.
and us including them within the newsletter.
Right.
So a lot of that information had then just sort of been, it was old news really. But we do need to produce annual reports for our annual town meeting, and we also want to include them as information within our newspaper circular, which happens to be a criteria of the Gold Award.
Yes.
So which is why we've put these options in here to say sort of which edition would that be best placed in.
Right. I guess, I mean, my preference would be for option 3. But if people are producing reports for the meeting tonight, then those reports can go on the net. And if they want to write something voluminous, as some members want to, then we use AI or an officer to pre-seed them.
Yeah, so they can. So that would be option 3. The annual town meeting chairs, reports and newsletter articles are entirely separate, which we've not done previously. As you say, we've done edited versions of the annual town meeting report, which then we've sort of come into trouble with before because they've not necessarily been the words of the chairperson that's written them. So here we're asking for 2 separate versions, a shorter article that goes in the newsletter.
Well, we can ask the chairs if they're willing to write 2 versions.
Yep.
Either write just a short version, or if they want to write something longer, make sure they write a short version as well.
Yeah.
Or ask somebody else to do it on their behalf, but accept what people write, as it were. And that's still option 3, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's my preference, Margaret.
Yes, I don't know whether I've got a particular preference. I think one of the issues is about the chair having possibly changed between the annual town meeting and when it's produced.
Yes, that's true.
Which I think is a problem. I think it could be then confusing, but I don't immediately have an answer as to which, I think option 2 maybe is maybe better, so that it's just that one article and it's the chair won't have changed in the meantime.
Okay, the problem I have with option 2 is that they've got to write it in January, which is well ahead of the actual end of the year. And things can happen. But Jane wants to come in. Jane?
Well, I'm just on I love short articles and they're jolly difficult to write. I just wonder what short actually means, Nina. Is this 250 words? Is half a page in the magazine? What's your idea of short?
So it would have to be across 2 pages. So it's about 125 words per committee.
Yeah.
So it is short, and that's not including photos.
That I'd probably say is a bit too short for any committee member if they want chair to really strut their stuff. But
it is, and it is essentially to focus on what the committee has achieved or what the council has achieved overall in the last year. Yeah. So we do go into a lot more depth, and we use graphics for our annual town meeting, as you'll see tonight. Yeah. So it really is, as John said, you could rewrite that in January because a lot more will have happened since then between the March and the April and then the January. There's a lot more detail that you could add, bullet points perhaps of highlights.
I mean, take this forthcoming year. who knows exactly how things are going to go. The cemetery might not be open by February 26, but it might be open by the end of March 26. So a report written in January couldn't really talk about that or have some, opening photograph or something of the cemetery because it wouldn't have happened yet. And that's why I still think the autumn is better. Some of this is a feature, of course, of the fact that we no longer have a summer newsletter because that's obviously historically where it used to be. And it's now been bumped up to autumn because of the summer newsletter change.
So if I can add, so currently one of the suggestions, which is option 1, is that our winter newsletter, which hits doormats about November time, includes where the money came from and how we spent it. So it's our precept, basically, article, what have we done with our precept? So option 1 is accompanying that with what did your council achieve in that previous year. So those two marry quite nicely in terms of budgetary, what we've done and, what we've actually achieved with it. Option 2, we're talking about putting it in the spring newsletter, which is what's going to hit our doormats in the next, this week actually, where we'd be talking about the preset infographic for the year to come. At the same time, it would be accompanied with what we've just done. So it's sort of, again, it's sort of the opposite sides of a story. This is what we've just achieved, and here's the money and how we're going to spend it in the year ahead. So it's whether we go for those two sides of a story or what the money came from this year and what we've achieved. Either way gives us a gold standard as one of the criteria. Doesn't give us a gold standard, it's one of the criteria of a gold standard.
Yeah. Any views?
Have you got your hand up, Paddy, there? Is that
No, you're not.
Martin, do we have enough space to put it in the autumn one? Because reading this at the moment, we've got the grant applications, we've got the new mayor and deputy mayor if required, civic awards.
Yeah, we've had time in the space. There's only 32 pages out of 12. All right. What 1, 2, 3, 4 pages are kind of dealt with. We've got these events here. That there would be space to do it, Martin. Yeah, I think there would be space. I guess I'm favouring a report written at the end of the year. All right, or in line. Normally we have the annual town meeting in April, don't we? Because we're doing it this year because of PERDA, yada, yada, yada. All right, so 3 out of 4 years we'll be doing it in April. And the chairs of committees can write up their report. And we say we just write what they've achieved, as you say, rather than what they've done, because the two are very different things. What's the impact upon Buckingham from the work of the committee? That for me ought to be what's in the annual report, not we talked about this 6 times or something. I'm paraphrasing. So personally, I would still favour the option, which I think is option 3, is that we have a report written up for the annual town meeting by the chairs, and then a summary version of that goes in the autumn edition, written by either AI or an officer. That's my proposal. Does anybody second that?
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Jane, you can't vote. Do you want to say something, but you can't vote?
I'm sorry, yeah. Do you know, I was halfway out the door to come down to the chamber, and then I thought, oh God, no, it's a Zoom meeting, so I stayed here. So I'm with you in spirit.
Okay.
Don't mention that, Jane. Don't mention that.
Thank you. Okay. We'll vote on that. So we go for option 3 as described.
Yeah.
Agreed. Okay. Thank you for the report. I presume you put the report together.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was very good. Yes, there's a lot of information in that.
Oh yeah, you did.
As always, the reports are great. Even
they're very clear. Okay, the gold standard criteria. Basically, I think what this report is saying is we really ought to get back to having the gold standard.
We ought to, yeah.
But it's going to take a lot of work, and there isn't really spare capacity to do that at the moment. So that's a fair summary.
Yeah.
Okay, the question that has to be the case is when will there be spare capacity to do this? Because we kind of do need, what does it bring with us when we have the gold standard? What do we get apart from saying we've got a gold standard? What else do we get with that?
it's recognition, and it's, yeah, it is an award. It's a local government award that we can add to our website, along with other such things like Green Space Awards and Loo of the Year.
And why did we lose it? Because we used to have it.
We did used to have it. We had it for a number of years. We lost it because there were some financial documents that weren't reviewed within the set time frame that was stipulated within the criteria. And that was picked up, and then we lost our award, and we haven't applied for it since.
Okay.
And there is work being done in the office about how we can get back there. So it's not that we're not doing anything about it. It's just acknowledging that we can't quite offer the bits that it needs right now. It's not about the work being done. It's about how it's recorded, monitored, reviewed. So it's like we're doing it, but we're not jumping through the hoops to show we're doing it right now. And that's a little bit of work that we just haven't got the capacity for right now.
And what are the reasons why we haven't got capacity?
Because we have staff shortages and staff training. We've got a lot of new staff.
Right.
Myself included in that, to be fair.
Okay, okay. Martin?
Am I right in thinking that the gold is a additive of the bronze and silver?
Yes,
It builds
that
up.
way, yeah.
Yeah.
It that way.
So everything there under.
Yeah.
We
So,
had to meet all the criteria.
yeah, from the bronze and the silver
And then
and then the gold
then
to get the gold.
That's right.
So if we dial back, is it a award that we could meet now then? Could we meet the bronze, or is that even out of reach?
I can't answer that. It's my genuine and honest answer. And I think
That's what we like.
I can't answer that. I also know that we haven't necessarily put any finances aside with regards to the fees and costs of it within our precept. So I don't also want to commit to anything that we haven't financially committed to either.
Yeah, I didn't know whether it'd be worth it just even from an office point of view, but taking it in a step process so that, you know, we aim to get the bronze next year or something, and then, you know, then we build rather than going, yeah, let's get back to the goal.
It's more achievable.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's giving you some markers to get to, doesn't it?
But the answer is I don't think
That's
it's
fine,
that's fine.
I mean, I think looking through the 29 criteria for the bronze award, I mean, I've not gone through them in detail point by point, but just glancing through them, we've got all this stuff. I mean, all this stuff is done.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying
But
to
to
say.
produce the portfolio
Yes.
to prove that we've got all this stuff.
Yes.
Margaret?
I was just going to say, we need to make sure we precept for it for next year and don't make
Yeah, I
that
think so.
cost. And aim towards getting there. I mean, do you think from 26 to 27 that would be, so that by the end of that financial year or that council year?
I would like to think the staffing would be in an improved place at that point. That's the obvious answer that I can give, but without a crystal ball, I can't make a guarantee of that.
But if we preset for it anyway, and then if we can't get there, we don't spend the money, do we? And we carries over.
Well, we could precept possibly for a consultant to pull all this together, couldn't we? If necessary. We could say, well, I'm going to hire somebody for 2 weeks' work. Your job is to pull together a portfolio of all this information, or whatever the job, or, you know, put together a budget for that, put it into the precept.
But my experience of that would, and I could be speaking out of turn, is that consultant would end up sitting with a member of staff who's essentially taking them through every document, every order. And if that's the case, they may as well just put it together themselves.
Well, that's also true as well.
Without being
borrow your watch, tell you the time and keep the watch. Yeah, I know that's the description.
I suppose the only thing would be, if, I don't know how many staff work part-time, but you could precept for extra staff time, and maybe somebody who doesn't work full-time could then have that as their extra hours to do that.
Assuming they would wish to do extra hours, they
yes.
could be part-time for their own personal reasons.
I mean, I used to work part-time, and I used to quite often do extra when the staffing levels were bad. So,
well, what's the best way for this? Go on, Martin. All right, I'll come back to you, Jane.
No, take Jane.
All right, Jane, go ahead.
I'm just going to say that this looks remarkably similar to an exercise that we do at the Citizens Advice Bureau every year. It's called Leadership Self-Assessment. And yes, it is a pain, but we have to do it. So there's no doubt. And I've never had to get consultants in where we just roll up our sleeves. In the old days, you used to get all the papers into a file. Now you put them all into a digital file. It is work and it can be painful, but it's not. It can't be. It's all stuff that we're doing. I mean, that's what they're trying to get you to show, isn't it? That stuff that we're doing and evidencing it. So it's taking the files out of the folders and putting them in the right place. From my experience.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Jane. Martin?
Well, I was just looking at this list for the bronze, and if we preset, to have a bronze award, surely we could have a little working party in this committee, even if it's just one person, and I'll be happy to have a crack at it. Because a lot of this stuff the councillors can find themselves. They don't have to go to the staff. And we could take this and go, tick, here it is, standing orders, financial regulations, resources committee, do you have that? Gone. And, you can work through most of this, and maybe there's, I don't know, 2 or 3 maybe that you may not know, but, register of assets, that comes up at committees. We have all that.
Are you offering, Martin?
Yeah, I am actually.
Okay, all right.
So we could do it, through this year to get us to, December, ready for the pre-vetting and stuff, and then maybe we can crack it off in, I don't know, June or May or March or apply for it and see what happens.
Let's see. The next meeting we've got scheduled.
I just need to check because it's my inexperiences there. Is this a decision that can be made in this meeting?
Ah, there's another good question.
I don't see a reason why we can't make it here, that Martin goes off and does the work.
Yeah, we're not applying for anything at the
Okay.
moment.
I just want to make sure.
We're doing a tick box exercise for the information that is required. And we're saying whether it's there or whether it's not there, or I can't find it. We may have it, but I can't find it.
Okay.
Right, so it's the beginning of March now. Would you have something to bring back to a meeting on the 5th of June, Martin?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Sure. I mean, there's 29 of them there. I mean, yes.
All right, so you'll do some of the initial work on the bronze portfolio.
Yeah.
And you'll bring that back to the meeting on June. Report, maybe check it out with Nina or anything else.
Yeah.
So it's in standard format, yeah? Okay.
Why not?
Well, let's move forward on
I'll
that.
crack on that.
So just to note, when that piece of work is completed, the submission of that in order to qualify for a bronze criteria would carry a fee.
I'm not saying we do it on the June.
Yeah.
We haven't got the budget, so we may have to just hold all of that until, in which case, depending on how far I get through, we may look at, the silver and see what we're missing.
Okay.
But at that point, see the budgetary decision will be made by a different committee. At that point in the future, we may be in a position that within the office, we have the resources
Agreed.
in order to apply for the gold.
Maybe, yeah.
And back to John's point, what are we getting from this bronze criteria?
A good feeling by the sounds of it.
From the bronze.
But moving forward, we've got some work going on the way that Martin's offering to do. And it's work that's going to need to be done anyway for the gold world, so it's not going to be wasted work. And it edges us forward.
That's the only thing I'm slightly concerned about, and I'm not trying to dismiss any offers for help, but I know that there's a lot of work being done in the office to update things like the financial regs and all of those bits and pieces. So you may collate a lot of information that then isn't because that's literally what Steve's doing right now.
But it will be links on the website, won't it? Because the financial regs will go on the website, whatever state they're currently in.
Okay.
So when the new financial regs go on, all that's going to be in Martin's report is the link.
Okay.
And the link is up to date. The link is up to date. We've got.
It is what it is at the time. It's an MOT, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think
It's a living document.
it's a living document, and if the report effectively is a series of links that link to all the things that are required in here, if they want to use newsletters, I'll link it to that page on the website.
Yeah.
In other words, the documentation is mostly there. It just needs assembling, in fact.
So are we saying then, just to recap, that the piece of work that you've offered to undertake, we would review it in June at the next formal meeting, and then we would seek to make a recommendation to, say, the Resources Committee?
Yeah,
Or whoever, yes.
yeah. So we've assembled this information, it now needs a budget to apply. Do the Resources Committee want to go ahead with that? And obviously, Martin and your help, Renina, the report would form that. So therefore, the report, when written, needs to have a recommendation in there that, subject to us all agreeing it, that we go forward to Resources Committee for them to agree the budget and everything else, because we don't have a budget apart from publishing a newsletter.
Let's not boil the ocean, let's just
No.
get to June, shall we, and see
Yeah.
where I come to.
Yeah,
Exactly.
as a piece of work that's been suggested by councillors, a recommendation from an officer in June to go to Resources Committee that hasn't been qualified by the town clerk in terms of resource allocation might be a bit of a sticking point. So
Sure, we can work through
it might be
that.
something that we need to discuss with Claire, because obviously we have already said that we are planning for that resource allocation to take place for the criteria for this award, but just later in the year.
We've got contingency reserves, we can spend money like that if we want to.
Okay.
I'm sure we can do it, you know. Let's worry about that detail nearer the time. Let's get the work.
It'll be a new council then, so
Yeah,
see how we go.
I appreciate your caution, but honestly, I don't see how we're not making a decision other than say, yeah, Martin, go for it. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you.
And then we'll take it on from there in whatever speed we can. And maybe, like you said, the resources issue in terms of capacity will be resolved by then. And we can either recommend it in this financial year or in the next, according to what we need to agree on. I mean, one of the things I hope we would do for the new council is agree some objectives to be achieved over the 4 years of the new council. We didn't do that in the last 4 years. I think that was a mistake. We should be doing it for the next 4 years. You know, we should be saying, right, at the end of our 4-year term, we hope to have achieved this, 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 and this. Some clear objectives that all of us, councillors and officers, are working to. That's the job of a business to do that, isn't it? Yeah. We may not get there.
No.
There may not be, you know, events, my dear, events get in the way, but we should have an ambition to achieve various things. Yeah.
Absolutely, and the business plan is on the working agenda, is something that we are reviewing
Yeah.
and forecasting for.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to have a refresh of that. But that's for the new chair of resources to kind of take that initiative, I would say. For me, that's their job, perhaps the mayor as well. Certainly some people, either one or the other, needs to be taken that forward. Okay, thank you, Martin, for that offer. And thank you for the resources that you require just to support him in doing this. But I think that will work. Any other comments from anybody? Online or here? Okay, cool. Let's move on then. Do I have any chairs items?
No,
No, I don't think I have any chairs items. What?
ATM tonight?
Yes, the end of town meeting. I hope everybody will be present. Look forward to seeing everybody there.
Well, not everybody, because it clashes with the Buckingham Blaze summit.
Yes.
And the,
You mean some people are prioritising going to that?
yes, well, it only happens, what, once in a blue moon?
Yes.
Unlike the ATM.
Well, in which case I'm a little bit fed up that it was on the same blooming night.
What time
Bit
does
fed
it
up.
start, Ablaze?
7:30.
7:30.
Okay.
Yeah, the end of time starts at 6. I mean, the other thing could have started at 8:30, then it would have been fine.
Well, we've already, I think we've put it back to 6 because of that. It would have been 6:30.
Yeah, and I won't say online what I feel about that.
No.
But I hope to see as many people as possible at the annual town meeting tonight, because it is one of our, well, it's not ours, it's actually the town's meeting, isn't it? It's not
It
even the
is.
town council's
I'll
meeting.
be there,
It
John.
is the town's meeting, yeah?
Unless something very strange happens in the next couple of hours.
Okay, so we're meeting next on the 10th of April online, all online, and then on the 5th of June in person here to take things forward. And I think that therefore concludes the meeting and we can go offline.
Well,